everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name is Jack and today is another LEGO minifigure collection review, and these guys do count as minifigs, at least to me. I've got all of the R2-D2s ever made. This guy basically needs no introduction. Probably one of the most universally well-liked characters in the Star Wars universe, and maybe even one of the most well-known robots worldwide. Okay, for those that are new to this collection review process, I'm gonna go through all these guys chronologically from when they were released. I'm gonna talk about what sets they came out in and how much they are worth today. And apologies ahead of time for any unwarranted puns. Alright, so let's start off this collection. Our very first R2-D2 came out back in 1999. He was released in a whopping 16 sets. I'm not going to rattle all of them off, of course, but the very first set he came out in was X-Wing Fighter 7140. The printing for the body is very nice. LEGO actually used this print for a very, very long time. And this is the only time LEGO decided to use reflective silver printing for the base color on his head. But this early version of the head printing kind of restricts all of the detailing just towards the top. The print itself is fine in terms of how accurate the detailing is, but I think you'll agree that it definitely looks a little bit off considering it is a much smaller, sort of warped version of where all the detailing should actually be on the head. All of that being said, he is around $6 brand new on BrickLink. And let's check out the next guy who came out back in 2006, though he's not really a new figure. This is our R2-D2 from Jabba's Sail Barge, set number 6210. You can see he is exactly the same as the other R2-D2, but now he's just got a couple of extra pieces to show that he's serving drinks. Oddly enough, you'd think he'd be roughly $6 as well, but a new version of this guy is about $10 on BrickLink, but I suppose if you bought those pieces individually, he might be a little bit cheaper. Alright, and a couple years later in 2008, we get our new R2-D2. This is Death Star R2-D2. He came out in a bunch of sets, but was first released in the 10188 Death Star set. His body printing is the exact same as the other R2-D2, so the only thing that is new is his head. It is now a gray piece, and the printing, though very simple, now reaches much further down on the head, and it looks a lot better. He too, being very common like the first one, but not nearly as old, is also very cheap. He is about $5 on BrickLink, and we're gonna jump up one more year to the Clone War R2-D2. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that, but this guy did come from a Clone Wars set. He was from the Anakin Y-Wing Starfighter set number 8037, and I think the biggest difference with this guy is that his body is really simple. In fact, the most simple you'll ever see the R2-D2 body. Some of the line printing looks a little bit cleaner, but generally there's just not as much going on. Also, in order to match the art style from the animation, they elongated some of those blue boxes on the sides of his head, and generally I don't think it looks quite as nice. I do, however, appreciate that his head is now pearl gray. At least I think that is pearl gray. It certainly is a little bit reflective, and this droid, brand new, is about $12 on BrickLink. Alright, moving on up to 2012, we get a very unique astromech droid. This is the Snowman R2-D2. He was released as one of the main exclusive figs for the Star Wars Advent Calendar of this year, set number 9509. And by all means, he has some really great detailing that makes up his body. The blue panels on the front have now been turned into carrots, and his sensors on his head have been turned into coals. Also, the rest of the detailing just kind of looks like it's been sort of etched in with a stick or a finger, and he comes complete with a top hat. Awesome figure. None of the Christmas Star Wars exclusive figs really are very expensive, and this guy's actually one of the cheapest R2-D2s, coming out at around $5. This R2-D2 that came out a year later was released in the Ewok Village set 10236, and he's a little bit odd. He's got the original body, but also has a Clone Wars detailed head. Make no mistake, when you compare the detailing between these two guys, if you see any differences in the printing on the head that is purely from the factory, they're supposed to look the same in that regard, but the actual difference is much more subtle. Like I said, the original Clone Wars R2-D2 has sort of a pearl gray, but some sort of light gray shiny plastic, whereas this later R2-D2 has something called flat silver. It's a slightly darker version of the plastic, and that's where the difference lies. This minifig is $8 brand new, and our second release of 2013 is R2-D2 2.0. I apologize for nothing. He's actually the same R2-D2 as the Death Star R2-D2 from 2008, but now he just has another set of trays and drinks. The plate piece for the tray is a different color now, and he comes with one extra bottle. Oddly enough, there are no listings for him on BrickLink, but because the original guy he is modeled after is around $5 and he comes with a few extra pieces, he should, theoretically speaking, probably be only worth around $6. Alright, and we're creeping up towards the present. This next guy is basically the most advanced version or the most detailed version of R2-D2 that we have to date. He came out in 4 sets but was originally released in the Jedi Interceptor set number 75038, and I think you'll agree that he all around looks like a much better droid. That pearly plastic used for his head is just a little bit darker, but the main difference is that all his blue detailing is much darker and much more accurate. Also, in general, they just cleaned up every bit of detailing on his head and his body, and like I said, it just makes for a better looking R2-D2. He's not so uncommon and still very new, so he's about a $5 minifig, and let's see this next guy from 2015. Here is R2-D2. Not his official name, I don't care, it sounds better than Reindeer R2-D2, and he too also was an exclusive release in the Star Wars Advent Calendar of this year. He's identical to the latest and greatest that we just saw from 2014, except for of course those 2 pieces that make up his antlers. The price reflects this accurately, with the last guy being around $5 and this guy being about $5.50. So let's check out the last R2. He too was a 2015 release and appeared in the sets Naboo Starfighter 75092 and Sith Infiltrator 75096. Oh yeah, also the Droid Escape Pod 75136. And he is nearly identical to the other 2 most updated R2s, except his indicator in the front is no longer red but instead purple. Also, that red dot in the back has turned purple as well. He comes out to about $4, which I think makes him the cheapest of all, and there it is, the entire collection of R2-D2s. These 10 iterations of certainly the most beloved astromech droid in the Star Wars universe show a decent amount of evolution. Several different plastics went for his head, and there's about 4 different designs for his body. Personally, I'd like to see another Dagobah system set in the future, and with that it would be nice to get an R2 with some detailing that show he's been kind of dirtied up by the swamp. But what I think I want more actually from the astromech droids is just some printing on the back. With such new and improved printing on the head and the front of the body, after a while it just doesn't make sense to not have any detailing on the back. And heck, they could probably even go to the legs and feet, I wouldn't mind. Alright, that is it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy our content, remember you can always subscribe or like this video. And if you have any ideas about another collection you might want to see in the future, you can always let us know in the comment section below. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time at BrickVault.